I'm gonna go ahead and call this meeting to order. That wasn't very loud, was it? That's good. Any audience comments?
There's nothing in the chat.
Okay. Okay, and can I have someone consent the agenda?
Move to approve.
Second. All right, any discussion? All right, Ginger, if you'll call for the vote.
Ms. Baker,
Aye.
Mr. Dunbar.
Aye.
Mr. Girton,
Aye.
Ms. Sosby. Aye. Ms. Stover.
Aye. And then coming down to new business, we have the January to June statistical report.
All right. For those of you who've been on the board a long time, you might remember we used to have 6-month statistical reports twice a year, and then the end of the year would be the whole year. This is on page 38, if you want to take a look at it. And it's different, they're different kinds of statistics than you see in the monthly reports. So it has information about our online database usage, and the circulation is by level by age level instead of by location. And this is something that we did for a long time, and then it just kind of fell away with Heather managing her workload, et cetera. And so we revived it to see if you would like us to do it again. Since Ginger is here and is able to produce this, if you would like to see it. So take a minute and look at that and let us know your pleasure about this.
I, for one, like the statistical report. I've used it in the past and like to look at it from year to year and with the percentage change and to break it out. This is a little bit different than it had been. I think social media, so I see LinkedIn.
Well, this is it's the one on page 38.
Is that not the one I'm looking at?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, so, sorry, you talked about social media and I was,
Because in the past, there had been,
On the monthly report, there's social media.
yes, so you still have the monthly report.
okay, so this is just
different-
the year
Right.
to date.
This is a different type of report that is totally different.
Okay.
So you would still get the other reports. This is an additional report. And so it's probably, we're estimating it's an additional 3 to 4 hours of staff time to do it. And so if you want to see, like, for example, if you want to, like, databases, like we show you Hoopla because that's really more like, it feels more like circulation, or it's very, very popular. Yeah, it's not really a database in the informational sense. But I mean, this would it lets you compare some of the things that we spend money on. And so if you want to see this, it's something we can do for you. If you haven't missed it and don't want it, Ginger would be happy to not do it either, whichever way you prefer. So I'm just trying to see if you would, but this is not in any way to replace what you get monthly in the year to date. This is it's additional information you used to get.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any opinions on this?
I think it's very good. There's one question I have, on the circulation part,
Uh-huh.
junior high. Now, what does that include?
It's separate from the high, it's like a separate collection, so it's a,
Would it be more appropriate to call it middle school?
Or young adult?
Well, there is a high school collection that we call teen. So it's like
Okay.
younger, it's older than children's and we certainly could call it middle school. It's probably been called junior high forever.
And the reason I asked that
Yeah.
is, do you include Central in that?
Well, this is by the type of material and I don't know that their collection. I don't,
So we don't have a central material type.
so it
Central
probably
would be a
doesn't,
location.
yeah,
Central would be a location,
as opposed
a
to,
material type.
yeah.
But most central books checked out are junior high.
In terms of the ones that are housed over there, that's a whole separate thing too.
Mhm.
I mean, because technically those are the school's books. So that's probably why it doesn't have a material type.
And the count is low. Maybe about normal.
Yeah, it's a pretty small collection, I would say. I don't,
I was just curious
Yeah.
how the Central things go.
well, yeah, we could have somebody come and talk, I mean, we have two people who work over there. And we could certainly schedule Marcia to come and talk to you, answer questions about Central or talk about that. We could do it as just an update for you if you'd be interested in that. But she could answer specific questions about, it's sort of its own thing.
I've kind of been going back and forth between this one and the statistical report that I'm most familiar with, and I see overlap. So I honestly don't know that this additional one is needed. If it's that much time, there are a lot of these statistics that are already being tracked monthly anyway.
Yeah, some of them are just sliced differently. Like normally you see location circulation, but not age level, you know what I mean? So, or
Yeah.
like you see databases maybe together, but not, broken down. So it is different, but it may be a level of detail that I mean, it's true, nobody asked about it when it was missing for several years, so.
Yeah, that's my thought. Yeah, I read, yes, now you give us this option, and this is great, look at all this information, but frankly, I'm used to the other statistical report and that data. I don't see any reason to create another one or even duplicate a lot of the information that's already there.
Any other opinions? I mean, we have the capacity to do it now when we didn't before, so I wanted to make sure that's why I put it on the agenda and not in the consent agenda. But so you could let us know if you would like us to do it or not. So,
I think I'm used to the monthly statistical report, so
That's
it
enough,
doesn't really.
you know.
Mhm. It is fun to see, some of those, and even just, I guess, the reminder of things that are offered, but, I think the monthly is the most helpful.
Any dissenting opinions, like on the court? Anyone want to dissent? All right, I don't hear anything, so Ginger, it looks as if you don't have to worry about this one. You learned to do it, and if anybody changes their mind, she now has it all worked out.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah, now that yeah.
And there are managers who pull reports and give her information too, so that's partly what I was capturing here.
Sure, and I assume, yes, that if there is a need for some data collection, you know how to, you can cross-reference and look at the information, but as far as reporting out to the board for that report, I don't think it's needed.
All right.
Okay, and then going on.
Stephanie is
Yes.
now virtually
Oh, great.
on here. So as a reminder, she could vote if she turns her video on, but you have to have video and audio on to vote.
There she is.
Mhm.
Oh, that's very safe.
Hope our insurance agent doesn't find out about this.
Stephanie, if you want, when you have a chance to look at this 6-month statistical report, let us know if you really like it. Ginger would be happy to accommodate and add this if there's any interest in that, so.
Okay. Okay, sounds good.
All right, going on to the budget committee report by me, Stephanie Farrell. So Kathy and Stephanie Oden and I met with Faith and Rita. And first, I just want to say thank you, Rita, for all the time and dedication you gave to the budget. You and Faith made it a really nice meeting for us where they had just for us to be able to see all of the additions and all of the changes to the budget was very helpful. The committee did not have any concerns about what was proposed for the 2025 budget. And then I'll just share about a few of the things that are changes. And if you want to hear more, I have my notes from them that I could do more. But we were happy to hear about a wage increase as well as an increase to the yearly holiday stipend. They had mentioned that the stipend had been the same for a long time. And so they were able to, whatever stipend the employee receives will be doubled this year. So we learned that there is a sidewalk needed at the South Branch stage to make it accessible for wheelchairs and strollers. So that'll be included in the budget. We also learned that part of the budget will include adding more doors to the swipe-in system. More doors added at Main and some added at South. They said that the employees have really appreciated that. And then also panic buttons will be added to service desks. So those are just a few of the changes, but what I have. But yes, thank you for just an organized meeting for us.
Yeah, we changed it up and made it so that the highlights of what we're doing or things that are different are much easier and are presented separately instead of just the whole budget, which can be challenging to look at in that level of detail. So it was a thumbs up for that. The meeting would have been over in an hour if we hadn't chatted at the end.
So how long did it run? How long was the chat?
An hour and 6 minutes.
Yeah.
All right, noted.
Really well.
So if
You
you have
have to
this,
pay.
so if you want to sign up for it in the future, know that it's less painful.
Okay, and then moving on to the 2025 budget proposal approval to advertise from Rita Bates, Head of Finance.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion?
One thing that is included that I think you should know that we're looking at, and it's very different than anything we've done in the past, so I do want to mention it in case you used this as bedtime reading and didn't get through every line. We have budgeted to hire a consultant to do a compensation study, and we would like to make sure that it includes looking at our jobs in terms of internal equity, like levels of different jobs. And because honestly, we don't really have the capacity to do that, and we haven't done it in a long time. And so it's quite expensive, and if possible, there may be other things that we'll add into that depending. Sometimes when they're already doing things, you can add in another thing or two, and it's not nearly as much as if you did it on its own. So that, and as a very ballpark estimate, we have $40,000 in for that. And that's a lot of money, but I've talked to other places and I don't think it's wildly, I don't think it's over budgeted necessarily if we get most of what we're looking for. I mean, I think it's more likely there will be things we want that would not be covered by that. And some of it, there are a couple of big firms in Indiana that tend to do this work for libraries. I've only found two that other libraries have used. We would want to try to get quotes from or estimates from three. So I did want to mention that just because it's really unusual and it's a larger amount of money. Is there anything else that you noticed that's a question, or Rita can answer questions more so than me, but either of us are open to doing our best to answer any questions.
I did not understand the color coding. There was not a key, or if there was, I didn't see it.
And that is, it's something new and it's to help us track what department it's from. So it's of note, it's not helpful to you. It is an internal thing, but we should have explained that. I
It's very
apologize.
pretty. I did appreciate, you know, when you look at a spreadsheet, you know, it's a little cringy and this was lovely, but I didn't go back through and I was trying
You were
to
figure it out.
understand it. Yes,
Yeah.
okay, that makes sense then.
The other thing is on page 39, there was a little note in there that there was one item that at the time that the budget committee looked at it, the expenditure was listed under one line item, and that's moved. There are things that they kind of could go one way or the other, and so it got adjusted. And that expenditure itself is something you might want to know about. Currently, all of our staff's time tracking and timesheets, it's an Excel spreadsheet and it's done manually by our staff. Until it gets to a certain kind of payroll software we have that's more limited. I mean, if you've worked anywhere that uses someplace like Paychex or Paycom or anything like that, we don't have anything like that. And so we are budgeting to go to something that is a little more robust, where staff will have an app that would track their paid leave and is a little more, has more sophisticated options that we have not. So, and Rita and Christy, who's in charge of HR, which it has some HR functionality, and then Rita in charge of finance were the two people who researched that and made a recommendation of a company to go with.
And the only other thing I want to say about the budget, that is our maximum amount that we can budget. And we always want to budget the maximum amount because the next year the increase is based on the maximum amount. So even if we don't plan on using that much because of what we get in, that is the maximum we're allowed to budget.
Yes, the budget is not a promise that we'll get that much full revenue.
Any more discussion or questions? Ginger, if you'll call for the vote.
Ms. Baker,
Point of order. I don't think we had a motion.
Yeah.
We did, you
Was actually.
you were the one and I.
No,
seconded
you
it.
were right. I did not get a motion for it. I just did discussion.
No, they made a
No,
motion
yeah.
before we
We
started
did.
discussion,
And then we had
without you
discussion.
asking.
Okay, great. Oh, that's right. It happened quickly.
It happened really quickly.
I was like, I didn't remember asking. Thank you.
Yes, okay. very good. Let the
Okay.
record show.
Start that over.
Sorry.
Ginger, if you'll call for the vote.
Ms. Baker,
Aye.
Mr. Dunbar,
Aye.
Mr. Gerton,
Aye.
Ms. Oden,
Aye.
Ms. Sosby,
Aye.
Ms. Stover.
And then 2025 salary resolution and pay scale, also with Rita.
Rita, do you want to explain what we did here?
Basically, we did a varying percentage, trying to bring the upper levels, the bottom lower levels up a little bit, be competitive with, other markets. And when you do those percentages, the pay raise is a very similar amount for each level. And it was, between the. I can't remember my number now, $1, if I care about it. Somewhere around $1.10, $1.12, something like that is what step one. So the beginning step of each level. Between $1.02 and $1.12. So, which is a slight increase. Last year was closer to 65, 68 cents, something like that. So we got a little bit more.
So that's as opposed to a percentage increase across the board, which if you're mathy, a percentage of a small number is a lot smaller. The same percentage of a small number is a lot smaller than the same percentage of a large number. So doing a percentage raise means the higher level people always get bigger raises than the lower level people. And so this is a system we've used the last couple of years to try to help our lower paid people become better compensated.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Ginger, if you'll call for the vote.
Ms. Baker,
Aye.
Mr. Dunbar,
Aye.
Mr. Gerton,
Aye.
Ms. Oden,
Aye.
Ms. Sosby,
Aye.
and Ms. Stover.
Aye.
And then we have committee to review the director's contract.
That is something you do every couple of years, and it's due in time for the October board meeting. So whoever signs up, you probably want a point person to make sure it gets done in time for the October meeting. And it's a committee of 3 people.
To, so the president join this committee to be 3 people.
I think it's just any 3
Okay.
people, although I could be wrong. TJ, do you remember if it's always the president?
I think historically it has been, I don't remember if the bylaws state that it has to be.
Because we don't have any, we have almost no committees that are dictated in the bylaws about who does them, that are like a recurring kind of thing. It's just a one-time thing and not, yeah, so I do think that often usually it has included the president, but we could probably delegate.
And how many people need to be on that committee?
3. I think we generally do 3 so that if there's disagreement, it's an odd number.
Sure.
And it's because it's not a standing committee, it doesn't have to be. Doesn't have to be advertised.
I will volunteer to be with you.
I will go ahead. We need 1 more person. I'll volunteer. Okay, thank you, Karen.
Then you work with TJ on that.
The library board will evaluate the director on an annual basis by and through the review committee consisting of the president and vice president of the library board.
But that's the review,
that's
that's
right.
not the contract.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the only one that's specified is the review.
Right? How's that set up? Okay. Equity Action Plan Progress Update.
All right, this starts on page 53. And the updates for this year are in green. And while we haven't maybe made some of the progress that I'd really like to see, we do keep working away at it. And so I don't feel like a lot of it is really different in terms of just big different things that we haven't done. I mean, I would say Angie going to the Apperson Way Apartments and trying a specific early literacy outreach with them was a really good idea. It didn't work the way we wanted it to. But that was that was an innovative thing to try. And if you aren't ever feeling you're not really trying things that are very different, right? And the African-American read-ins, just scheduling it so that we already had a group of kids coming at the same time was a different approach. And some of the things we did previously now have turned into things that we've continued, like making sure that we were at Garden Square during the summer for the kids in that housing to be able to do the summer reading program. That having originally just done an occasional program here or there at the domestic violence shelter has turned into something that we do regularly. So, I think there are some good things. One of the things that, again, is just, it was a small thing, but I think grew out of some of our sensitivity is realizing that a lot of our historic documents have language or viewpoints that now would not be considered to be acceptable. And so we added a statement to the beginning of our Howard County Memory project on that to just let people know you're going to run into things that are not something we would say today. So I don't know.
I think it's impressive that since, what was it, 2020? This was an initiative that you took on that you felt like was important. And just to see the consistent activity and actions that I think it's impressive that it's a goal. And as you said, some are successful, some are not, and should be ongoing, right?
Yeah.
Just to keep at it. And I know you want to reach the finish line and to not have a huge success and to say we did it, because I think this is huge. You might not ever get there.
Yeah, I think, is Christy on?
She is.
Okay. One of the things Christy and I really have talked about and we really want to move the needle on is just having a more diverse staff. We want people who come into the libraries to see themselves at the library. I don't know, if you're a woman and you went to a place where every single person who worked there was a man, on some level, would you wonder if that was a place for you, or vice versa? And so we know that that's something we really want to change and work toward, and we have worked on it. It's harder than it might seem to have develop a more diverse workforce. And we have, not that we haven't had some success, but we don't look yet like Howard County. Our demographics of our employees do not match Howard County demographics. And so, Christy, if there's anything you want to add.
I think the staffing is going to be slow and steady. I think that you have to not only attack the type of applicants that we get to make sure, I think that's the first step. If we can get the right applicants, then we can hire the right people to reflect not only our needs, but also the diversity of the community. So it's getting our jobs in front of the right staff or the right people, so that way we can get the staff we need. So it's going to be a kind of a hare and tortoise. The slow and steady wins the race. So that's where we need to be with that. So we'll get there.
Yeah, thank you, Christy. And one of the things we're just really looking at is as certain job positions have come open, we're reevaluating whether all of the educational requirements are the only path to have for us to hire someone. Could there be skills that we take in its place, which then makes the job more open to more people. So we're really trying hard to look at that. That's something Doug and Christy have both worked on. So we are working on it.
Yeah, we've got some really great wording that we're going to start using in some of our job ads to let people know that, hey, experience is just as important. So if you have the right experience, we want you just as much as if you have schooling. So.
I think that's it unless there are questions.
Thank you for sharing. All right, the thumbnail sketch, Star Plus update with Kayla Skyle, head of circulation, and Kat Slider, circulation assistant.
I'm Kayla, I'm head of circulation, and this is my assistant Kat. One of our goals this year was to grow the organizational cards, and an opportunity with Samsung and Star Plus Energy presented itself, and we really just were like, this is the opportunity we were waiting for, and jumped on it. So the collaboration helps these organizations overcome a training crisis, they said. So basically what we did was we signed up their admin staff with library cards, and that gave them access to our LinkedIn Learning resource. So LinkedIn Learning, if you don't know what it is, it's a resource that we offer our library card holders. It has over 4,000 different video courses. The courses are offered in different skill levels, and over 140 specialties pertaining to business, including Office and Google, database and software development, information technology, marketing, and web and social media. So the library card organizational cards we had in 2023 were 78 total. We started conversations with them in September of 2023. And from September or October of 2023, from October 2023 to December 2023, 70 of our 78 organizational cards came from Samsung and Star Plus Energy. So I did pull some data from our integrated library system and confirmed that there was a 775% increase in library and organizational cards because of this collaboration that we did with Samsung and Star Plus Energy. So far in 2024, we have signed up 104 organizational cards, and 100 of those, or 96.15%, are with our collaboration with Samsung and Star Plus Energy. I did reach out to our collection management manager, who was able to pull some LinkedIn Learning statistics for me, just to confirm that those library cards are being used for that reason. And January to June of 2023, we had 96 users for LinkedIn Learning. And January to June 2024, we have 164 users. So that's a 170.82% growth. So we're really proud of that. It really got our minds wheeling, because community collaboration is so near and dear to circulation, because we know we are basically in charge of library patron records, library cards. So it's really important to us to keep growing, you know, the library card usage here in our community. And it's just one example of how we were able to partner with just one business and grow this much usage for the library. I want to give you a number now that really shocked me once I had me in my office. A standard LinkedIn Learning corporate subscription is $379.88 per seat per year. So per employee. That's what it would cost a corporation to for an employee to have access to LinkedIn Learning. So we saved Star Plus Energy and Samsung approximately $64,579.60 just for signing up with a library card. With that success in providing their staff the training resources necessary to resolve a training crisis, we wanted to further educate them about the library's other resources we could provide, not only their staff, but the staff's families that are coming to live in our community. Kat facilitated a meeting with Samsung's Director of Human Resources, Jay Lee, and then also Star Plus Energy's Training and Development Manager, Ashley Gibson. So she wanted to provide them with information on additional resources that the library can offer. So I'm going to let her tell you about her experience in that meeting.
So I'm Kat. I'm Kayla's assistant, like she said. Back in July, I met with Ashley and Jay. We have been discussing at the library for a while. What do we need to do for Samsung, Star Plus, and their growing employees? and what do they want us to do? So we want to make the library just as easily as accessible to their employees and their families as much as possible. Not only that, but there is the potential there for a lot of barriers with language and culture. So we were trying to break down as many of those barriers as possible just for new residents coming into Howard County just as quickly as possible. So we came up with a form that will be handed out from the HR department at Star Plus or Samsung. It's much like the form that we use now for temporary housing residents. So the form will state that they are a current employee of Star Plus or one of the many contracted companies that they have until a certain time. So that allows us in the circulation department to create a temporary adult or youth card for the employees and their family members. Like I said, we're trying to break down the language and cultural barriers. We want them to have the same access to materials as a lifetime Howard County resident would. So during my meeting, I learned that the Korean travelers will mostly only be in town for a 60 to 80-day period, which was surprising. We were really focused on the need for Korean language materials. So the need for that doesn't seem to be as high as we expected. Jay, who was the HR director, he did mention that most of the temporary Korean employees will be working 60 to 70-hour weeks. And so he didn't anticipate much use of the library by that specific group. The more long-term employees, though, will be socially secured and have more permanent addresses. Kokomo is currently unable to house most of those employees, so most of them are staying in other cities. Whether that be very nearby in a city that doesn't have a library or one that does. Either way, we will be here for them. Ashley mentioned all of our free programming, especially for children, and thought that it would be great to embed more Korean culture programming into our library system. They mentioned Sundays being their family day. So we mentioned that to some of our programmers. So in the circulation department, we have a brochure that we give every single person that we sign up for a new card. Welcome to your library brochures. And they offer invaluable information about lots of resources that they are gaining with their new card. So I showed Ashley those and she immediately asked for the digital version of that. She wanted to have it on hand so that they could translate it into Korean and have it to give with their form that they will give their employees to bring back to us. I was also able to elaborate more on some of our other digital resources, such as Rosetta Stone, language learning, Brain Fuse for families who might be moving here with children, and all of the we have a lot. This is very surprising. The newspaper sources that will give employees access to their newspapers back home. That's in America and elsewhere. So I thought that that was really cool. We've been working with Kaylee very closely to come up with a new way to focus more on our databases and increase their usage like community-wide. So we hope that this collaboration not only opens the door for more opportunities for growth in the use of our databases, but I hope it empowers the members of my KHCPL community to kind of reach out and grab something that might seem unrealistic. So yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, lady.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, we had heard part of that at an administrative meeting, and I thought, yeah, the board would like to hear some of that. So I am proud of what we've done. You know, we don't have the resources that New York Public does, right? I mean, we know that. And yet this is a community where a big company has come. And so, you know, I feel like this is success for our level library to have done that is very successful, and I wanted to have Kat and Kayla have a chance to just share that with you, so I hope you're proud of them as well.
All right, any other new business? for the board?
By the way, if you didn't get to the last page in your packet, some of those numbers that Kayla shared are on that infographic, and so if you feel the urge to tell an elected official how much we saved them, it is written down. Yeah.
Director's comments?
Other new business we have to ask.
Yes.
Did we ask? if
I
anybody-
checked,
Oh,
but,
okay.
we'll double check. I do not have it.
Okay, got it. I did send out an email about a work session, so if that doesn't sound familiar, let me know, I'll resend that, make sure it's on your calendar. And we will see you at that. So, and you will be meeting with the compensation committee, and Christie will have some personnel manual draft updates for you, and then the compensation committee will be talking to you about some policy we've considered and some of what we've been looking at or, has been happening. So, so that's what will be happening at that session. And I think that's all I have unless there are questions.
And we have tour of property formerly owned by Mr. Bean.
Right. So we're going to find Lori and get her to take us outside. Lori?
Who wants to go outside and read the sunshine?
Yeah, it's nice day.
I think we're gonna adjourn after we look at that, I believe. Is that what it says? Or did it? How is it worded? Yes, we'll, yeah, so out there will, is what it says. Okay. Is that okay?
That's okay.
To end our meeting
Ginger's
outside?
gonna be under, do we need motion approval on the adjournment? Yes.
I don't think you are like-
Wait,
No,
We
Oh,
do.
it's gonna break a window.
by consent, I don't think that's, yeah, all right.
Okay.
Yeah.